Good morning again. Pertaining to what I mentioned in the previous video, there was another relevant comment. A nice lady very concernedly said as she drove past, they're a military organization that always likes to scare everyone about the whereabouts of their children. Pertaining to the concern yesterday about the young lady I had spoken to from Dare the day before, whom others wanted to possibly of the same organization wanted to be causing worry about, that they a couple gays got into the traffic sound alleging being official, portraying themselves as wanting to be menacing against a nice lady instead. So anyway, the lady spoke a concern that some of the threats are definitely said by some that allege being Marines, and I do know for sure that it's a fact that there's 3 or 4 or 5, and that they're supported by corruption. And my understanding is they set up some kind of an orientation about the Osprey area. The Osprey area is just south of here, around 10 or 15 miles. A small town. I don't know anything bad about the area, except that earlier in my life, back in let me get my chronology correct. Early in 1987. No, I'm sorry. Early in 1983, I, for maybe a month or a month and a half, worked in the Osprey area. As I mentioned before, some secret controversy had started against me when I was working in Disney World months before. I moved away from Orlando in November of '82, and by about, I guess it was probably by about March of 1983, that looking through the classified ads to get a job, I was getting behind in my car payment. I ended up accepting a job in the Holiday Inn of Osprey in what at the time was a dinner theater. So I worked there for, like I said, about maybe a month or month and a half. And during that time there was another controversy. I got a small efficiency apartment on Greensboro Lane here in Sarasota, just off of South Indian Trail. And I forget exactly the details, but there was a pretty young lady whom I actually didn't personally know. I hope she's all right still. But what I didn't understand at the time is that there was the gay rumor ring that was following me, that I really didn't know any details of yet, was partly official, and that some of them were involved with the Marine Corps, probably including an associate named Ed Bowering from when I sold insurance in Orlando. He a former Marine and a former police officer from Rhode Island. And another that I'd already mentioned before, a former White House guard by the name of Ashuto, who had worked during the Carter administration. So anyway, what ended up happening, to the best of my understanding, is that the secret malpractice smear of '81 in Orlando was very severely pivoted on, and something of no matter what you say about him, but what we know for sure is he did one time, and so we're going to proceed with this, So unfortunately, they got rumor there, and a former stepfather, the former Navy pilot, was of subversive orientation also, and they got the rumoring started, and they used their influence, pivoting on just after the first place after Disney World, where he worked, and there was allegedly some lady kind of hanky-panky instead, but they knew, had pivoted before, months before, definitely saying that they had proof from the medical malpractice of me instead changing to wanting to be with men, but they're wrong. But anyway, so they pivoted on the Osprey area. I was there for a month and a half I didn't really like the job, but it was a nice place. There was a small lounge there. I worked waiting on tables, just good normal about it. And just after that, there were a couple of other brief jobs that I didn't like at all. And I ended up moving temporarily to Charleston, to the Navy base there. My sister was the wife of a man who worked on a nuclear submarine, the USS Grayling at the time, and my sister had invited me to stay there temporarily, so I drove my car to Charleston, South Carolina, and lived in base housing there for several months. I forget exactly how long it was, approximately 3 months. And still, at that time, I didn't know anything about any of the secret rumoring. I didn't know anything about what the malpractice had been about. In my mind, I knew that I had only been alone, and that I had always only been interested about ladies. And my sister didn't allude to anything about it. Back then, we got along fairly well, and she was nice and helpful. And I liked the situation there. She had a couple of young children that I was always just good to. And so it was a fairly good stay. While I was there, I worked temporarily in a Market Street, downtown Charleston restaurant and bar until there's some friction and threats, and so one night I just walked out. So it was a place called the Chapel Marketplace. It used to be an old Mariners church or chapel. So anyway, after that, my car got repossessed, so I ended up back in, first I was back to Sebring, and that's when I got the job working in Jarrett Ford, where the former White House guard had worked. Was also working there. So anyway, a little bit more review pertaining to the, just after briefly working in the Osprey area. The Osprey Holiday Inn ended up becoming, I think it's a Bentley's Bentley's Hotel. I haven't been into the place. It's the place that had when I first noticed it, I don't know, about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, that I noticed it had what used to be the dinner theater had become a place called the Brasserie. So anyway, I thought, well, that's kind of a nice name. Maybe there's some, maybe it'd be a nice place to stop in for a drink along the way. So, but anyway, I didn't get a chance because soon somebody burned the place. And so that was a subject of other reports that I sent, because allegedly a corrupt, I don't know his name, but there was a couple of men alleging being former Marines that allegedly got concerned that I was maybe going to think about hoping to counter ladies in the place, and allegedly the Brasserie was deliberately burned. But hopefully nobody was hurt. And I'll look forward to hoping these various matters are resolved favorably on behalf of ladies' security instead, and for secure futures.